Kiss guitarist Ace Frehley has died. He was 74 years old.
They should have been here with us 50 or 55 years later and enjoying the fruits of their labor. But sadly, they're not. And it's their own doing. They were in and out of the band 3 different times.
We are completely devastated and heartbroken.
The rock world is in mourning today. After suffering complications from a fall in his studio just weeks ago, Ace Frehley has passed away at age 74, surrounded by family and loved ones. The man who inspired countless guitarists and helped shape the sound and spectacle of rock music is gone. But before we dive into the heartbreaking details of his final days and the emotional tributes pouring in from his bandmate, perhaps the most surprising and emotionally powerful reaction came from Gene Simmons. Despite their complicated relationship spanning 5 decades, the demon of Kiss appeared truly shattered by the loss of his former bandmate. In a deeply personal statement, released on his social media accounts, hours after the official announcement, Gene went beyond the joint Kiss statement, revealing a side of himself rarely seen by the public. "Today, I lost more than a bandmate, I lost a brother," Gene wrote, his words uncharacteristically raw and vulnerable. "Ace and I had our battles over the years, that's no secret. But what many don't understand is the profound bond that forms when you build something from nothing together. When you conquer the world side by side." Gene revealed that despite years of public tension, he and Ace had privately reconnected in recent months. "We spoke just 3 weeks ago," Gene disclosed. "We were planning to meet up before Christmas. Some conversations shouldn't wait. I'm grateful we didn't leave things unsaid." For Kiss fans, the most stunning revelation came when Gene admitted something he'd kept hidden for over 40 years. Back in 1982, when Ace left the band, "I was devastated. I put on a tough face publicly because that's what the band needed. But privately, I begged him to stay. I even offered to change aspects of our show, our music direction, to accommodate what he needed." Gene continued, "People assume I was the businessman who didn't care, but I spent many nights wondering if I could have done more to keep our brotherhood intact. Ace wasn't just our lead guitarist, he was our spiritual center, the soul of Kiss in those early years. His laugh, his unpredictability, his sheer musical intuition, they were irreplaceable." The tribute included personal anecdotes never before shared, including how Gene would secretly watch from side stage during Ace's solos on the reunion tour, just to be transported back to those early days when we were hungry kids playing clubs. What moved fans most was Gene's admission of regret over the original lineup not performing together one final time. "My greatest regret will always be that the 4 of us couldn't find a way to share the stage one last time," Gene wrote. "There were efforts behind the scenes fans never knew about. Pride and business got in the way, on all sides. Now that opportunity is gone forever." Gene ended his tribute with words that have since gone viral across social media. "Wherever you are now, Space Ace, save me a spot in your band. I'll bring the bass, you bring that laugh, that could light up any room. Rock and roll heaven just got a whole lot louder." Fans worldwide were stunned by the emotional depth of Gene's tribute, with many noting it was the most human and vulnerable they'd ever seen the typically business-minded rock star. Music journalists have called it the most moving tribute one rock legend has ever paid to another. Even more surprising, sources close to the band revealed that Gene has been in daily contact with Ace's family since the passing, offering not just emotional support, practical help with funeral arrangements, and ensuring Ace's musical legacy is properly honored. Paul Stanley later confirmed in an interview that Gene hasn't been the same since hearing the news and had to be consoled by other bandmates. In private, Gene is absolutely devastated, Paul revealed. "People don't realize how deep their connection was, even through all the difficult years. For a man who built his public persona on being calculating and emotionless in business matters, Gene's raw display of grief has revealed the true depth of brotherhood that existed between these rock legends, a bond that transcended their public disagreements and business disputes." As one music historian noted, Gene's tribute shows that beneath the makeup, beyond the business, these were just men who shared something profound, a musical brotherhood that changed their lives and rock history forever. The year was 1951, in the working-class streets of the Bronx, New York. Paul was born the youngest of 3 children to Esther and Carl Frehley. From the beginning, music flowed through the Frehley household like electricity. His father Carl wasn't just an electrical engineer by trade, he was a church organist by passion. His mother Esther played piano, his brother Charles was a classical guitarist, and his sister Nancy was also musically inclined. Young Paul was surrounded by melody and rhythm from his earliest memories. But it was Christmas of 1964 that would change everything. 13-year-old Paul received his first electric guitar as a gift, and something clicked. He began teaching himself to play by ear, sitting for hours in his bedroom, learning licks from records by Jimi Hendrix, The Who, and Led Zeppelin. While his parents pushed for formal lessons, Paul preferred to learn his own way, a rebellious streak that would define much of his life. The streets of the Bronx in the 1960s could be rough, and young Paul found himself walking a dangerous line. He was kicked out of 2 high schools, DeWitt Clinton and Roosevelt, and eventually dropped out of a third before earning a diploma. He ran with local gangs and was heading down a troubling path. But as he would later say in countless interviews, it was the guitar that saved him, gave him purpose and direction when he needed it most. It was during these turbulent high school years that Paul earned the nickname that would follow him for life. His friends noticed his uncanny ability to win dates, not just for himself, but for his buddies too. "You're an ace at getting girls," And soon, Paul Frehley became known simply as Ace. Little did anyone know that this schoolyard nickname would one day be known to millions around the world. By early 1973, Ace was bouncing between local bands, playing gigs in dive bars across New York City. He was 22 years old, talented but directionless, when he spotted an ad in the Village Voice, "Lead guitarist wanted with flash and ability." The band was called Wicked Lester, soon to be renamed Kiss, and was the brainchild of Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley. They had already recruited drummer Peter Criss, and were looking for one final piece to complete their vision. Ace's audition has become the stuff of rock legend. He showed up wearing mismatched sneakers, one red and one orange, looking like he'd just rolled out of bed. Gene and Paul were skeptical, but then Ace plugged in his guitar and launched into a blistering solo over their song Deuce. The room fell silent. His playing was raw, powerful, and exactly what they needed. Within a week, Ace Frehley was officially the lead guitarist of Kiss. The band members created larger-than-life personas, complete with elaborate makeup and costume. Gene became the Demon, Paul the Star Child, Peter the Catman, and Ace, with his love of science fiction and space, naturally became the Spaceman. His silver face paint with black starry eyes became one of rock's most recognizable images. Ace even designed the iconic Kiss lightning bolt logo, drawing on his background in graphic arts. On stage, Ace was magic. While he was often the quietest member off stage, shy and reserved in interviews, he transformed when the lights came up. He pioneered guitar stunts that are now rock standards. His smoking guitar that billowed smoke through hidden tubes, shooting rockets from his instrument, and riding a jetpack across the stage. Fans didn't just come to hear Kiss, they came to see the spectacle, and Ace was at the heart of it. Despite his growing fame, Ace was initially reluctant to step into the spotlight as a vocalist. On the band's first album, he wrote the hard-driving Cold Gin, but let Gene sing lead vocals. It wasn't until the 1977 album Love Gun that Ace finally took the microphone for Shock Me, a song inspired by a real-life incident where he was nearly electrocuted during a Kiss concert. The fans went wild, and Ace's confidence grew. Then came 1978, a pivotal year for both Kiss and Ace personally. The band made the unprecedented move of having each member release a solo album simultaneously. Many industry insiders predicted disaster, but Ace proved them all wrong. His self-titled album became the most successful of the four, spawning the hit single New York Groove that climbed to #1 13 on the Billboard charts. The album went platinum, and suddenly Ace wasn't just the Spaceman, he was a star in his own right. But success came with a price. The relentless touring, the pressure of fame, and the excesses of the rock lifestyle began to take their toll on Ace. Tensions within Kiss were growing. By 1982, exhausted and seeking creative freedom, Ace made the difficult decision to leave the band that had made him famous. For a time he retreated from the spotlight, but music called him back. In 1984, he formed Frehley's Comet, returning to his rock root. Their self-titled debut album in 1987 featured the hit Into the Night, and Ace found himself once again with a loyal fan base. Throughout the late 80s and early 90s, he continued releasing music and touring, though often battling personal demons along the way. Then in 1995, something few thought possible happened. The original Kiss lineup reunited. Ace donned the Spaceman makeup once more for the massively successful Kiss Alive worldwide reunion tour. For millions of fans, it was a dream come true to see the original four members back together. The reunion lasted until 2002, when Ace again departed the band. Throughout his career, Ace's personal life remained relatively private. He married Jeanette Tretortola in 1976 at the height of Kiss fame, and the couple welcomed their only child, daughter Monique, Though Ace and Jeanette later divorced amid the pressures of rock stardom, they remained amicable co-parents, and both were by his side in his final days. Ace and Monique shared a special bond, evidenced by their matching AC tattoos, a symbol of their father-daughter connection. Despite his rock and roll image, Ace never completely abandoned his spiritual roots. Raised Lutheran by his church-going father, Ace maintained a faith in God throughout his life. In a 2009 interview, he credited this faith with helping him through difficult times. In January 2024, just months before his passing, Ace had posted about his New Year's resolutions, which included getting closer to God, a reflection of the peace he sought in his later years. Ace remained musically active well into his 70s. His final original studio album, 10,000 Volts, was released in February 2024, showing that his creative spark never dimmed. He continued touring until just weeks before his passing, thrilling audiences with the same fiery style that had made him a legend. Then came the news that shocked the rock world. In late September 2025, Ace suffered what initially seemed like a minor fall in his home studio. He assured fans via social media that he was fine but would be canceling an upcoming concert as a precaution. But behind the scenes, the situation was far more serious. Doctors discovered a brain bleed from the fall, and Ace's condition deteriorated rapidly. On October 16, 2025, surrounded by family and loved ones, Ace Frehley passed away peacefully at age 74 in Morristown, New Jersey. The Spaceman had taken his final journey. The tributes came pouring in from across the music world. His former Kiss bandmates Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley released a joint statement. "We are devastated by the passing of Ace Frehley. He was an essential and irreplaceable rock soldier during some of the most formative foundational chapters of the band's history. He is and will always be a part of Kiss's legacy." Perhaps the most moving tribute came from original Kiss drummer Peter Criss, who wrote, "With a broken heart and deep, deep sadness, my brother Ace Frehley has passed away. He died peacefully with his family around him. My wife and I were with him to the end as well. I love you, my brother." Bruce Kulick, who played guitar with Kiss after Ace's first departure, said, "The news of Ace's passing is devastating to the world of rock. He was one of a kind and truly an iconic guitar player. His undeniable role in the creation and success of Kiss cannot be forgotten. Not only was he loved by all, he influenced millions of guitarists around the world. Ace Frehley's legacy extends far beyond his time with Kiss. He pioneered theatrical guitar playing, combining showmanship with genuine musical skill in a way few had done before. His distinctive guitar sound, often described as liquid, influenced countless players who came after him. Songs like Cold Gin, Shock Me, and New York Groove remain staples on rock radio to this day. Despite the ups and downs of his career, Ace remained beloved by fans for his authenticity. In an industry often defined by artifice, Ace was always refreshingly real. A kid from the Bronx, who never lost touch with his roots, even as he soared among the stars. At the time of his passing, Ace's net worth was estimated at around $1 million, modest compared to some of his contemporaries. He had faced financial challenges, losing his Yorktown, New York home to foreclosure in 2013. But Ace never seemed motivated by material wealth. For him, it was always about the music, the fans, and the pure joy of playing guitar. In a 2019 interview, when asked about his legacy, Ace simply said, "I just want to be remembered as a guy who made people happy with music. If my guitar playing brought joy to someone's life, then I did my job." By that measure, Ace Frehley's life was an unqualified success. As we say goodbye to the Spaceman, we're left with the incredible catalog of music he created. From the groundbreaking early Kiss albums to his final solo work, his guitar solos continue to inspire. His image remains iconic, and his influence on rock music is immeasurable. If you've ever been moved by Ace Frehley's music, share your favorite memory or song in the comments below. What did his playing mean to you? Which guitar solo changed your life? Let us know, and let's celebrate the extraordinary life of a true rock legend together. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed this tribute, and subscribe to our channel for more deep dives into the lives of rock legends. Hit that notification bell so you never miss our upcoming feature. Rest in peace, Ace Frehley. The Spaceman has returned to the stars.